Welcome to our first episode. Today we're going to be talking about freedom, what it means to us, while relating to the current Afghan situation. And we have a very special guest for you today, our first friend of Tynkrr. So let's jump right into the episode.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Sharada.
Good evening.
Good to see you here.
Yeah, it's good to have a chance to talk about this very depressing situation.
I know. So when we talk about freedom, I think I couldn't find a better person to talk about freedom and what freedom means to us than you, Dr. Sharada Nayak. You have lived through multiple lack of freedom and freedom as well throughout your long life, long fruitful life. But we just wanted to hear your reflections on what is happening, let's say, in our neighboring country right now.
Now, when you look at, I'm first talking about Afghanistan, then I'll come back to my own thing. The history of Afghanistan has been one of so much conflict. So much conflict. They say they were freedom from the British 100 years ago, right? They were celebrating yesterday 100 years of freedom from British rule. But have they really been free in the past 100 years? That's the first question. Second, we always think we equate freedom with democracy. And I often question whether democracy is really the best form of government. You know, it may be the best that we can have, but it's got tremendous failings. And freedom in the context of democracy is kind of, in so many ways, it is compromised. Now, you talked about India getting freedom on the 15th of August. I was there. I was so happy. I was so elated. I was inspired. I was idealistic. A week after that, we had terrible riots in Delhi. And how many people were killed? Okay, so for everything you pay a price, huh? And for freedom you pay a very big price. Now, what the Afghans are going through, it's terrible because in between they had a brief 20 years, which I don't call freedom. I just think of more opportunities to try and do things they would have not had a chance to do in the past, okay? For the first time, women had a chance to get an education, to go out and work. They were probably more free than Muslim women in most Islamic countries. They were able to get jobs. So that must have been a tremendous, window opening. When you open a window, you get fresh air and light. And that's what they got. Now, are they willing to give that up?
Yes.
And whether they're going to be able to give that up. As for the men, what about all those who fought, okay, for what they thought was democracy? All the Afghan soldiers, the army, who were all trained by the Americans. Why did they fall so fast? Because of fear. There was never freedom from fear. You can train a soldier to use arms and teach him how to fight. But if he's afraid, he will run away. After all, he's human. Now, why did we win Kargil? Nobody was afraid. There's a wonderful movie that's coming on called Sher Shah about Vikram Batra.
Yes.
Amazing courage. Now, he was free from fear. How many of us are free from fear? Would Aru walk out in Delhi at 11 p.m. by herself without being afraid? Can any young woman walk out in the street of Delhi late hours of the night? And if anything happened, now in Goa, there were these young girls on the beach. They were attacked and molested and raped. And what did the chief minister say? Saying they had no business going out late at night.
Yeah.
Now, is that real freedom? We are a free country. But what freedom did they have? So, you have to equate freedom with your own self-confidence. If you're free from fear, if you're confident that regardless of who's in the government, regardless of whether it's a police state, if you're confident that you can get what you can, then you're free. Of course, there are limits. All of us have limits to our freedom. We can't, just go ahead and act, booze up and get wild and do mad things, because there are certain norms we have to follow. So freedom is something that is limited according to the norms that we live in. And I think it is really identified, or exactly, explained by our own self-confidence. I, at this age, feel absolutely free. Why? Because I have lived through so many experiences that experience has liberated me from things that Aru isn't yet free from.
Correct.
Yes.
I can do a lot of things because of my age, because of my experience. And therefore, I have learned to define my own freedom. Political freedom is a different thing, but I really believe that political freedom is really not individual freedom.
And thank you very much for your views, ma'am. And thank you for being a friend of Tynkrr. I mean, we have had wonderful advice and mentoring from you. Thank you very much again, ma'am.
Thank you.
Not at all. Aru, keep it up. This is a great initiative. All the best to you, and anything I can do to help you, I'll be happy to. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Well, that was a nice conversation with Sharada ma'am. It was very nice to have.
Yeah, she's always inspirational, very inspirational. For those who haven't known Dr. Naik, I've known her for pretty long now, more than 25 years as of now. And my usual joke there is that I met her in college. I mean, she had already retired and I had just entered college, and she has been a wonderful mentor ever since.
Yeah.
So, to give a short introduction to her, she's 89 now. That means she has lived through the Quit India movement in 1942, the Second World War, India's freedom, the riots in partition, the first war with Pakistan, the first war with China in 1962, the first war with Pakistan in 65, the second war of Pakistan in 71, emergency in 75, color television, Asian Games in 80s, and then Mrs. Indira Gandhi's assassination in 1984, followed by assassination of Rajiv Gandhi in 1991, India's economic liberalization.
Yeah, 1991.
And now COVID as well. And when you talk to her, she is so full of hope. I think that's a very important message.
But it was a very nice conversation, and I think the situation is very sad at the moment. It's kind of heartbreaking when we heard it. Like you just showed off your memory of Indian history right now. I mean, with all the events that have taken place, and coming to that, we celebrated 75 years of independence on 15th August, and while we were celebrating our freedom and the sacrifice that went into it, on the eve of the same day, another nation kind of lost it and gave it away without a fight. They were afraid and just didn't fight for it.
I think Afghans, I think they are really brave people. They are good people, great people there. It's not necessarily that they simply gave it away. I think they have been conditioned for too long now. I mean, they have been afraid and they have been fearful for too long now. And I think that systemic lack of resources has also created this kind of fear mentality in people, where everybody wants to run away now. I mean, but I'm pretty sure that there would be still some Afghans who will put up a fight and make sure that the idea of being an Afghan, being a Pathan in that sense, remains. I think we still have hope there, and I guess the other democracies around the world must step up.
Yes.
and do whatever possible to help the Afghans.
Yeah, but what does freedom mean? I think ma'am just talked about personal freedom, being free personally, and which is very different from political freedom, is what she said. And yeah, freedom is it means to act freely, speak as you wish, as you will. But it's kind of a contradicting word in today's sense, because we never are truly free, right? There are always restrictions, and that's the debate that happens around freedom. That how many restrictions can you put on restrictions, right? It's kind of a paradox. Freedom, we're never really truly free, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think at some level it is a very deeply philosophical question as well as to what is true freedom. I mean, if you go back to Hindu mythology, I mean, it is freedom from this chakra of birth and rebirth. And unless you attain moksha, there is no freedom. Because as long as you are in human body, both Buddhist as well as Hindu philosophy talks about, unless you get out of this chakra of birth and rebirth, you're not truly free. And you would find sightings everywhere. I mean, in fact, one of the book I keep talking about is Letters to a Friend by Nagarjuna, and he talks about that and he says, "Was a truly free person is somebody who doesn't have to work for his living in that sense. That is true freedom. That you don't have to work for earning a livelihood. That is true freedom in some sense, because then you're not dependent on anybody. You're not afraid of that whether you would get food or not. And so that's the philosophical part of it. But of late, what we have seen is that we have had freedoms as we become more developed countries. We have had freedoms. We are free from hunger in that sense. India as a country, we were a really poor country where people died of hunger. We are free from hunger.
Yes.
There is more economic opportunity. Young women, I would say, are free to choose the kind of life they want to live, which was not possible, let's say, about 20 years back. So that is the kind of freedom we are seeing now.
Yeah, but at this moment, I don't know. It's ma'am was like talking about hope, right? And she said like she's always full of hope, and at this time, especially when there's kind of lack of it, right? The situation that is, and just we feel like this kind of situation that arises right now was something that I would have thought maybe 40 years down the line would have happened. In my sense, as a 17-year-old, I would not have thought it to happen at this moment. It kind of felt far-fetched, and it's here now, and that kind of makes me afraid of what's to come in the future. And yes, ma'am has lived a very long and life, and she's still full of hope. She's seen so many different events which are distressing and bad and can be very heartbreaking. At the same time, she can stay hopeful. So I think it's kind of a nice message for the younger generation and the generations that we are going to be in the world and we're going to take care of it. That yes, there is always hope, something good to look forward to. Right? I think that's what we
and I think that hope only can make you less afraid that there is a future, that you are aspiring for something which is bigger than you.
Yes.
And I think if you were to jump into our recommendation, I will come back to recommendation again, but I've been watching a few sports related movies. I mean, that's Olympics was a great.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that soon. We should talk about Olympics.
Yeah, we should have another episode on Olympics generally.
Yeah.
But I'd watched. I mean, I know Archana was watching this movie called Tufan, in which our friend Farhan plays a role of a boxer, and then I saw another movie it's a Tamil movie again, Paranjit. Sarpata Parambarai, if I get it right, Sarpata Parambarai. It's basically the Sarpata clan. So it's semi-fictional based on boxing scene in late 70s in Chennai, North Chennai. And one of the things which struck me, and again it's a very mass kind of movie, and there's a lot of whistle kind of stuff. I liked it. But what I liked more was the same thing, that this guy is not afraid, and he says, "I'm going to protect my clan's dignity and stuff." He's not afraid. He's getting beaten up, like what happens in Tufan as well, and then he gets up and says, "Give me more. I'm not afraid." There's nothing to be afraid of. The second lesson I think that we get is, and again, this is more in terms of what young people are looking for. Everybody is looking for a teacher.
Yes.
Everybody is looking for a coach, and everybody is saying, "Coach me. I need to find a coach. I need to find a teacher." But the important lesson there is, and I think a lot of people attribute it to one of those Chinese philosophers. It says, when the student is ready, the teacher would appear. Nobody is looking at, are they ready for that or not? Everybody is looking at somebody is going to come and train them. No. Are you ready for that training or not? And both in Sarpata Parambarai as well as in Tufan, when the boxer was ready, the teacher appeared in that sense. So I think that is one recommendation I would make, to watch this. They are really mass movies, but Paranjit has done a wonderful job there.
Okay, my recommendation is a song. It's called Found Tonight. This song actually came into being. It's a remix of two already existing songs from two musicals, from Hamilton and this musical called Dear Evan Hansen. And the songs were The Story of Tonight and You Will Be Found. So the song, they remixed it for the Parkland shootings when that happened, and there were protests where students were protesting for change in gun laws because of the gun violence that was increasing, and politicians turning a blind eye to them. So the song is about hope, and it's about keep fighting. They're here for you. The song kind of showed solidarity to them and keep fighting. And there are some lines which I think I'll just quote. Raise a glass to all of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us. Saying that keep fighting. There'll be more of you that will turn up. It's kind of hopeful. At the same time, it talks about like people will come, people will join, and things will get better. Like, don't give up.
I think that's a very powerful message, and this is what Dr. Naik also keeps talking about, that things are going to get better. You just have to be at it again and again, and you just be at it. You be focused on what you think is what you really believe in. That's what she also emphasized on, that what you believe in, you keep at it, and things would be all right. Things have been all right.
Yes.
And things would again be all right. And I think you just need to believe and remain focused.
Stay thankful for today. Look forward to tomorrow.
That's correct. Again, yep. Good stuff. Thank you for that.
That was Tynkrr thoughts.
Tynkrr thoughts. Oh, we're going to call them
thoughts. Yeah, we can call
Tynkrr
it
thoughts.
Tynkrr thoughts.
Tynkrr thought for the week, or Tynkrr thought for the fortnight.
For the fortnight.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. We'll see you on 12th of September next. So stay tuned for that. And this is finally decided. It's the 25th of every month. The executive producer says yes.
Yes.
So it has been decided, it has been sorted. No need to worry about when it's going to come out. The mystery is done. It's coming out on 25th and 12th. So we look forward to seeing you, and thank you for all the support that has been coming in from all of you, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Bye-bye. We'll see you soon.